experiences of disenfranchised young people in modern Britain are being explored in a new play about a captured soldier and his Islamic State guard. Bismillah, an ISIS tragicomedy, is set in a basement in northern Iraq and follows the story of Dean, who joined the army, and Danny, who joined ISIS. So let's take a look.
You know, it's not too late.
What are you talking about? How's it not too late?
Because, I mean, it's not too late to do the right thing, you know. Yeah, I mean, you could have died for this, man. You could have killed for this. You haven't actually hurt anyone, so you still have a choice. You could leave.
Well, you think there's a choice? There is no choice. I can't go out there and tell them I'm changing my mind.
Oh, no, I can't. No, you can't do that. But
what?
You can leave.
No.
People leave.
I can't.
Joining me now is the writer and star of that show, Matthew Greenhough. Welcome to you indeed.
Thanks for having me.
Very much a cutting-edge issue, this, the two sides of British involvement in Syria.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually initially wrote it in 2015, and at that point, I think radicalism and radicalised kind of young people was only really being reported with regards to radical Islamism, but I think in the subsequent years, it's actually become, or at least been publicised far more as something that affects everyone. So yeah, the play is about how normal young people who are raised in this country can find themselves on either sides of massively engulfing kind of ideological extremes, and what our society's kind of the role that our society plays in that.
And what's your answer? How do people become radicalised and move?
Well, come and see the play. We're not answering any easy. We're not presenting any easy answers. I wouldn't be arrogant enough to say that I know exactly the ins and outs of it. But the play is part of a wider dialogue that I think explores ideas of social alienation, kind of cultural, racial, and economic to a large degree as well, which is the combining factor that both characters have. I play Dean. So I'm playing a character that's from Leeds, and Danny, which is his given name by my character, he's from London, and it's about the experiences that they both had as disenfranchised young people that lead them to the kind of the situations that they find themselves in.
And you think there's an equivalence to you between joining the army and signing up with ISIS?
No, I don't think that the two kind of morally are comparable. But I think that what I found in my research in 2015 especially was that some of the tactics that were used by ISIS to recruit vulnerable young people do have kind of reflections in the way that we try and enlist people to the army. As a white working class northern bloke, I felt that the advertisements and the kind of propaganda, for lack of a better term, that is used to try and promote people to join the army was directly kind of aimed at me and people from my background as kind of young, economically kind of less kind of able people, and I feel that the army offers a solution to that and offers you a cause and something to live for when society may not offer that in other ways. And very chillingly, I found that ISIS were engaging in the same propaganda to enlist young British Muslims in 2015 as well, and that's where the kind of comparison ends on that score.
I mean, a lot of people would say, well, this is all down to the internet and online grooming.
I mean, that's certainly an element of it. I would totally agree that the internet plays its part, and grooming certainly is a part of that. But ultimately, it's about finding insecurities in people. That's what that does, and I think that those insecurities and those feelings of disenfranchisement and alienation from culture and society is not distinct to one group or racial or socio-economic. I think it's universal, and that's kind of what the play presents.
And how did you do this? Did you research and meet people who've been involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote it in 2015 with the Soho Young Writers Company, which is a theatre in Soho in London, and I did my own research. I spoke to lots of friends from different backgrounds, both friends that are in the army that have joined the forces. I don't know any radical Islamists, but I spoke to kind of a wide variety of young people from all racial backgrounds.
So you didn't speak to anyone who...
Oh yes, no I did. Oh yeah, I spoke to academics, especially in the redevelopment. So we developed it for this new 3-week run at the downstairs space in the Pleasance, which we're opening. and we spoke to Dr. Fahid Ashari, who is the sociology lecturer at Staffordshire Uni.
Do you think, I mean, obviously the group of the surviving so-called Beatles, people who were involved in doing terrible things, are around. Do you think that part of the attraction was, if you like, the awfulness of it?
I would suggest that it perhaps was, but I don't think anybody's born into that. I think that's the grooming part. Nobody intrinsically wants to commit mass murder or atrocities. I think what the play is exploring is how normal people from communities are taken to that space.
I mean, some people say that's exactly what computer games do.
Well, there's a reference to that in the play. This is absolutely true. In fact, but I think that our culture kind of removes the idea of kind of personal responsibility from violent acts. And I think that's across the board. That's what the play is really saying, that the problems that have clearly led to horrific things from horrific people going to Syria and defecting, they are not distinct to that group.
and the title, Bismillah?
Bismillah is the first word of the Quran, and it means in the name of Allah most gracious and merciful. But it's also, if you're a fan of Queen, which I am, and my character is an enormous fan of,